Okay, so the thing that I was most scared ever so far to do, that I pushed through to do, was definitely go to Africa by myself. When I was a kid, there was this news story on TV, on the news one night, about this terrorist hostage situation on a plane flying across the Atlantic Ocean. And it completely freaked me out. I have no idea how the story ended, but what I knew was the fear that it put inside of me. And I remember that night vowing that I would never ever get on a plane, never fly anywhere. And when this Africa stuff started coming into my life, my heart remembered this very deeply. And I kind of knew that I probably should go to be an eyewitness to the work that we were doing over there, to bring back what I saw with my own eyes so that people here wouldn't think it was a scam. And but in my heart, I was very unwilling to do that because I was so terrified. And I told Moses, the guy that we work with over there, that there is absolutely no way that I can come, because at that time I was really struggling with panic attacks. And ever since we had lost our first little girl, I had had panic attacks, and they just come whenever, sometimes a lot of times a day, sometimes just once a day, but they just come whenever. Like I would, get to Walmart and not be able to go in because I would be sitting in my car having a panic attack, and I'd have to turn around and just go back home. They would happen just, if I was just in my apartment, just whenever they decided to come, they would come. And so that was one really good excuse for me not to have to go to Africa. And the other one was, my husband was the pastor of a small country church, and we just didn't have any money to send me. So I told Moses, I can't come, I want to help here, I'll do whatever, but there's no way I'll ever be able to come. And so his response to me was, I will pray for you, and my church will pray for you, and one day you will come home to us. And I kid you not, that day the panic attack stopped. I haven't had one. It's been 4.5 years since that day, and I haven't had another one. And as happy as I was that those panic attacks stopped, I was really kind of irritated because one of my really good excuses had just been demolished. But I still had that other one. I didn't have money, and so I was holding on to that really tight. But then I met a really kind guy from Australia, and he had been to somewhere in Africa, and he decided very unexpectedly to pay my way. And so that excuse, the no money excuse, was demolished. So both of my strongholds of not going to Africa had been demolished very quickly. And I remember one day I was really scared, and my heart was very unwilling to go. And I know in the other videos, I talked about being afraid to love even my own family because of the risk of pain that they might endure if I die. And I didn't want to bring pain upon anybody. And it's like my biggest fear. And so I was very unwilling to go, and I told God that I was very unwilling to go that day, and I told him, I said, I'm just unwilling to do anything that will increase my risk of dying. And going to Africa seems like a much bigger risk of that than just staying here in America safely with my family. And suddenly it was like I could feel God's heart belly laughing. And you know how like you're talking to somebody and you say something that just strikes them so funny they just can't stop laughing? That was God's response to me. And his response to me after he was laughing, or while he was laughing, was, I'm pretty sure that for every human being the risk of death is 100%. And which really made me laugh. I actually laughed out loud, and I went back in the house, back in the apartment, and I started cooking supper for my family, knowing that in a few months I'd be off to Africa. And I was really scared, but that funny response from God really calmed me down. So, and then after that I went another time, a couple years later, and we're going again soon, and I'm still really scared. But I try to remember all these things that I'm learning along my journey of faith and fear in this wild God. I call him a wild God because he's just completely unexpected than I thought he was going to be. And and it's probably a really good thing. He's completely different than I thought he was. But I try to remember everything that I'm learning and live in what I have learned, and not live by fear. Live a life of love over fear. And sometimes it's really hard, but that is my story of going out and doing the very thing that I was most terrified of.